Okay, let us do the remaining exercise of square and square root. So the first questions that we have here is, find the smallest number by which the following numbers must be multiplied to get the perfect square numbers. So the numbers given to us, these numbers are not square numbers. Okay, so we need to find by what smallest number this 300 should be multiplied so that the resulting number becomes a perfect square number. So to understand the process, at first let us see one of the properties of square numbers. Okay, so let's take 36. 36 is a square number, and when we find the prime factors of 36, we get 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. And if you look at the prime factors of 36, then all the prime factors have pairs. Okay, what does that mean is, if you look at this 2, there are two 2's, so this 2 has its pair. Okay, similarly another prime factor here is 3, and here we have two 3's, so this 3 also has its pairs. Okay, so both 2 and 3 have their pairs. So that is one of the property of square number. Okay, if the number is not a square number, for example, let's take 18, and when we do the prime factorization of 18, what we get here, 2 times 3 times 3. And if you look at here, then 3 has its pair. Okay, 3 has its pair, whereas this 2 doesn't have its pair because there is only one 2. Okay, so this 2 doesn't have its pair. So that is the property of the number that is not a square number. Okay, so if you want to change 18 into a square number, then we need to multiply this 18 by a number. Okay, so by what number 18 should be multiplied so that the new number becomes a square number? For that, what we have to do is we have to look at the factors of 18, prime factors. Okay, so here you can see in this prime factor, 2 is the only number which doesn't have its pair. Okay, so it means 18 should be multiplied by 2. Okay, whatever number doesn't have its pair, you multiply the number 18 by that number. Okay, so here 2 doesn't have its pair, so we should multiply 18 by 2. So if you multiply 18 by 2, we get 18 to the, if you multiply this, we get 36. Okay, and 36 is a square number, as we have already learned from this example. Okay, so that is how this question number 1 should be done. Okay, so at first here we have 300, so we need to find out the smallest number to multiply 300 with. For that, we do the prime factorization of 300 here. Okay, so here the prime factorization of 300 is already done. You can see here the prime factors of 300 are 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 times 5. Now let us see which prime factors have their pairs here. Here you can see two 2's. So here 2 have their pair, and 5 also have pair. Okay, 5 also have pair because there are two 5. The only number, the only prime factor that doesn't have pair is 3. Okay, so it means 300 should be multiplied with 3. Okay, so let us write the same answer. Okay, here 3 doesn't have its pair. So what does this mean? Hence, $300 should be multiplied by 3 to get the perfect square number. Okay, so this is how we get the answer. Okay, so if you multiply 300 by 3, okay, we get 900, and 900 is a square number. Okay, Now let's do another example related to this question. So here we have 90. So when we do the prime factorization of 90, we get 2 times 3 times 3 times 5. Now from here you can see that which prime factors have its pair. Here 3 has pair because there are 2 3. Okay. And now here we have only 1 2. So this 2 doesn't have its pair. Okay. Also there is only 1 5. So here 5 also doesn't have its pair. So in this question you can see here we have two numbers 2 and 5 which doesn't have their pair. Okay. So if two numbers don't have their pair, then we need to multiply them. Okay. Here there are two numbers 2 and 5 that don't have pair. So if there are two numbers that don't have their pair, then we need to multiply those numbers. Okay. So write this 2 and this 5 here and multiply them. And when you multiply, we get 10. So here 10 is the answer. Okay. So let's write the answer here. Here 2 and 5 don't have their pairs. Okay. So it means hence 90 should be multiplied by 10 to get the perfect square number. Okay. So this is how you have to find the answer. Okay. So after this, let's go to the word problems on square and square root. Okay. So to do the word problems on square and square root, we have to either do the square of the number or square root of the number in order to find the answer. And that we can know after reading the question. Okay. So look at question number 2. It says, Sam arranged the coins having 12 of them in each row. If the number of coins in each row is equal to the number of rows, then how many coins are there? So in these questions, you need to understand what does this words means. Okay, number of coins in each row is equal to the number of rows. Okay, so let's try to understand this phrase. For that, look at this image. Okay, in this image, you can see some coins. Okay, so row means this one. Okay, so this is the first row. Let's consider this as a first row. And in the first row, you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4 coins. Okay. Similarly, in other rows also, in the remaining rows also, there are 4 coins. Okay. So here, number of coins in each row is 4. And see, count how many rows we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. Okay. So here, number of coins is also 4. Number of rows is also 4. So it means number of coins in each row is equals to number of rows. Okay. So this phrase means exactly that. Okay. So if it is like that, then if you want to find out how many coins are there in total here, so what we can do is we can either count all the coins one by one. Okay. If you count all the coins one by one, then you can see there are 16 coins here. Okay. But there is an easier method. Okay, to find out how many coins are there in total. Okay, instead of counting them one by one, what we can do is we can multiply these two numbers. Okay, that is we can multiply number of coins in each row 4, okay, with number of rows, okay, which is also happens to be 4, and 4 times 4 gives 16. Okay, so here also we have the same type of questions. Here instead of 4 coins, now we have 12 coins. Okay, but the process of finding the answer is exactly same. Okay, so you can see number of coins in each row is 12. Okay, that is the number of coins in each row. And from this underlined phrase, what it means is number of coins in each row is equal to number of rows. So if the number of coins in each row is 12, the number of rows is also 12. Okay, that is what question says. Okay, so same like the example that I have shown here. So to find out the total number of coins, what we can do is we can multiply number of coins in each row by number of rows. Okay, here also we can do the same thing. We can multiply number of coins in each row by number of row. And here the number is same, 12. So what we can do is we can do the square of 12. Okay, we can do the square of 12. 12 square. So here 12 square means 12 times 12. Okay, 12 times 12. And when we multiply 12 times 12, the answer we get here is 144. Okay, so let's write the answer here. Okay, so hence the total number of coins is 144. Okay, so this is how we solve the word problem. Okay, now let's move to the second word problem. Okay, this says find the number of plants in each row. Now we have to find the number of plants in each row. If 784 plants are arranged so that number of plants in a row is the same as number of rows. Okay, and look at this phrase once again. Number of plants in a row is the same as the number of rows. This is similar to the question number 2 that we did. Okay, so let's again see this figure. Okay, to make you understand this underlined phrase. It says number of plants in a row is the same as number of rows. So if you look at this figure, then you can see in this first row, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 plants, isn't it? Yes. And how many rows are there? We have 1 row, 2 row, 3 row, 4 rows. Okay, so a number of plants in each row is 4 and number of rows is also 4. Okay, so this is what number of plants in a row is the same as number of row means. Okay, now in these questions, what we are given is, so if you count how many plants are there here, okay, then you can see there are 16 plants. Okay, there are 16 plants altogether here. So if we are given this figure and if it says there are 16 plants altogether, okay, and if we are asked to find how many plants are there in each row, then from this image you can see in each row there are 4 plants, but without using image, okay, without using this image, if we have to find the answer here, answer is 4. Okay, answer is 4. If you have to find 4 using 16, then what you have to do? You have to do the square root of 16, isn't it? If you do the square root of 16, you get 4. Okay, so same thing here we have. So instead of 16 plants, now we have 784 plants. Okay, now we need to find out how many plants are there in each row. So to find out the number of plants in each row, do same thing, do the square root of 784. Okay, so that is what we are going to do. So here total number of plant is 784. Now we have to find the number of plant in each row. So for that we write 784. Okay, and we are going to do the square root of 784. And I've already done the prime factorization of 784 here. Okay, so now in the next step, we are going to put the prime factors of 784 under this square root symbol. So you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4 2's. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 2's, and you can see there are 2 7's. Okay, 2 7's. We have 2 7's. Now to find the square root, we need to make a group of 2 same numbers. Okay, so let's make a group of 2 same numbers. So this 2 and 2 will make one group, this 2 and 2 will make another group, and this 7 and 7 will make third group. Okay, so from the first group it is of 2, so take out 1 2. From second group it is again of 2, so take out 1 2, and third group is of 7, take out 1 7. Okay, and when you multiply these 3 numbers, 2 2 is 4, 4 7 is 28. So there are 28 plants in each row. Okay, so let's write the answer. Hence, there are 28 plants in each row. Okay, so now after this, let's do the last questions here. Okay, so it says rupees 1,764 were collected from students as a donation for flood victims. If each student paid as much money as the number of students, how many students donated the money? So let's try to understand what does this mean. Yeah, each student paid as much money as the number of students. Okay, this is where the process to find the answer lies. So to understand this, at first look at this example. Let's suppose there are 10 students in a class. Okay, and from one student we collected 5 rupees. Okay, so from 10 students how much money will be collected? So for that, what you have to do, you have to multiply this 10 by 5. Okay, so write this 10 here and multiply by this rupees 5. So 10 times rupees 5 gives rupees 50. So from one student, if 5 rupees is collected, then from 10 students 50 rupees will be collected. Okay, so how we get this rupees 50 here? This rupees 50, how this rupees 50 is obtained? By multiplying 10, and this 10 is the number of students. Okay, 10 is number of students. Multiply, and this rupees 5 is money collected from each student. Okay, so this rupees 50 is obtained by multiplying number of students by the money collected from each student. In the same way here also, we have collected altogether 1,764, okay, from students. So here also what we need to do is, to get 1,764, we need to multiply number of students with the money collected from each student. Okay, and in this question it says number of students is equal to the money collected from each student. Okay, so here two numbers will be equal. Whatever number is here, the same number will be here. Okay, that is what this underlined phrase means. Okay, so here it will be same numbers. So which two same numbers multiplying together gives 1,764. To find that out, we have already learned that we need to do the square root of these numbers. Okay, we need to do the square root of 1,764. Okay, and we'll get the answer here. Okay, because these numbers are same. Okay, so now let's try to find the answer. It says total money collected is rupees 1,764, and from here we need to find the number of students. So write 1,764. Okay, and do the square root of this number. Okay, so we do the square root of 1,764. And the prime factorization of 1,764 is already done here. So in the next step, we are going to put those prime factors on the square root symbol. Okay, so you can see 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 7 times 7. Okay, so now let's do the same thing. That is, let's underline the group. So this is the first group, second group, third group. Okay, so from the first group, take out 1, 2. From the second, it is of 3, take out 1, 3. So from the fourth, it is, from the third, sorry, it is 7. When you multiply, 2, 3 just 6, 6, 7 is 42. Okay, so the answer is 42. Okay, which means here 42 students are there. Okay, there are 42 students, and each student gave rupees, each student gave rupees 42. Okay, 42 students in total, and from one student rupees 42 was collected. Okay, so let's write that answer here. Hence, if the number of student is 42, okay, or 42 students donated the money, okay, or you can write that as well, 42 students donated the money, okay.